any group of people that exists ever is going to run into these tensions and these contradictions. But when you blow it up to the most like ridiculous, it's like, this is getting into like the parody, like satire aspect. It's like, you have to take it to the most extreme version. I think this is also part of like what's cool about Six. Like, you take it to the extreme to understand it. You know, it's like you have to do that. You have to dredge it into the light. Like that's kind of how I feel about a lot of like my creative process.
Welcome to another episode of What It's Like to Be You. I'm Josh Levine, your host, and on this show, I interview accurately typed guests about their experience as their Enneagram type. Today, my guest is Omar Sullivan, who is a social self-pres 6-wing 7 with 9-wing 1 and 3-wing 4 fixes. And Omar is hilarious. I think it'll be very clear that Omar is a head type in that 6-wing 7 territory. He's fun, he's fast, he's very funny, he's philosophical, he's noticing things, kind of that observational type of humor that 6 has. And also, we talked through, he was deeply involved in the punk scene during college, and we talked about the 6-coded nature of the punk scene. And we also used that as a jumping off point to explore some of the inherent contradictions, kind of first of all, in the punk scene itself, but also the way that Omar notices contradictions in whatever kind of context or subculture that he finds himself in. The punk scene being a really good example of it because of the extremity of the inherent contradictions that are there. And also, at 25 years old, Omar has completed his first draft of his first novel. And we talk about how 6 unfairly gets painted sometimes as an anti-creative type. And the reason for that is because 6s tend to be gridded and structured in their thinking and tend to like to operate within systems as opposed to outside of them. So people can project onto 6s that they're staying inside the box and not being creative, quote unquote. However, 6s are very creative. They are often very good lyrically. They do lots of wordplay, things like that. But Omar makes the argument that all of the inner tensions that he lives in and the contradictions that he notices in the world are a phenomenal creative springboard, and he has infused his novel with the working out of some of those tensions, and even in the story itself is a commentary on how those tensions get worked out on a macroscopic scale. If you'd like to learn more about social self-pres or 6-wing 7 or any other aspect of the Enneagram, I invite you to come check us out at theenneagramschool.com. You can read a bunch of free content on the Enneagram right there on the website, as well as I recommend you check out our intro course where we lay out all the basic concepts about what makes the Enneagram. Okay, without further ado, I'm very excited for you to learn from my new friend, Omar. So I'd love to start by asking you about your college experience and how you ended up where you are now. And you're recently out of college, like a year and a half out of college, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So yeah, I went to college for about 5 years. I got my master's. I went to college in Massachusetts. I'm from Seattle originally. I studied like environmental science and policy with kind of like a focus on like international development, sustainable development. In college, I played in a couple like punk metal bands. I did a lot of creative stuff. I formed an improv club, actually. It was like there are 2 improv clubs at my college that you had to like audition to get into. And I did not get in, and I was so salty about not getting in that I founded my own club that anybody could get into. So then it kind of became like a really big thing. Like we had like 20 people, and it was like kind of always like in and out, like who would be involved, but it was always like around like 20 at a given time. And it was just kind of like a way to like teach people improv and create like a inclusive improv space for people. So that's kind of like, that's like my like legacy, like lasting impact at my college, in that like other people have taken up the torch, and now it's going to be like a thing for like hopefully decades to come,
Actually, just real quick on that, because one of the topics we were going to queue up is 6 leadership, and there's a couple of things pinging on that for like anti-elitism and inclusivity.
Totally.
So it's just, so I just wanted to, and also improv is already in that kind of like 6-7 area.
Oh yeah, improv
space,
is like 6-wing 7 central. Like
yeah.
It's not even 6-7 like area. It's just all 6-wing 7s, dude.
Okay.
Like
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so just wanted to pepper that little commentary in.
Sweet. Yeah. But yeah, after college, I went through, I guess I went through like a pretty like nasty breakup in college too. So like
Okay.
kind of like the last year, like kind of going into like post college, I sort of had to like kind of like pick up the pieces and like reinvent myself. But that actually, it kind of led to a lot of like cool like transformations and like weird like personal arcs, I guess. So I don't know, I worked at a punk venue for a little bit. And then I got really creatively inspired. I was sort of like really obsessed with cyberpunk. So um I started writing a book, which was something that I like hadn't really like I had no like really prior like context for like being into that at all. It was just like, I don't know, how hard can it be, you know? So I started writing a cyberpunk novel, and then I was working for this like I don't know, like this like free food nonprofit for a while. Um, and then um, I started working for another nonprofit that was like trying to like protect like the Amazon rainforest. And that was like, it was kind of a weird like cursed coincidence, because my book, like the main character and the villain and like part of the book, like the main character and the villain were like from the Amazon rainforest, and part of the book took place there. And I had to deal with a lot of themes of like um I don't know. Yeah, like it had to deal with a lot of themes of like sustainable development. It was like, it was kind of making fun of sustainable development a little bit, like but also kind of like, I don't know. It was just I saw the job posting, and it sort of felt like I want to follow this thread. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it was just so related to what I was writing about, and it became like even more related to what I was writing about, kind of like the deeper that I got into it, that it just like started like feeding on my like creative process.
So you majored in environmental studies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your reason for majoring in that?
My reason is, I feel like my reason is kind of six-ish, honestly. It was like kind of, I think I was attracted to the like relative lack of ambiguity, which is ironic, because now I'm finding there to be a shit ton of ambiguity in the like environment and sustainable, especially the
Yeah.
development um sphere. But but it was kind of like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but it was like, all right, this is something that'll like help the world, like ostensibly. So at the very least, like that's something I can sort of like orient myself around, you know?
Yeah. So there's already, I mean, I see the six there. There's also arguably social self-pres in what you're saying as
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
for sure.
Actually, do you want to say, I mean, you have a pretty good grasp of it.
What, how that relates to being six and
Yeah.
social stuff.
So,
I think it's just
yeah.
like, it's like a super ego thing. Like I want to do like the right thing, or orient myself towards what I can understand as the right thing, and like identify and sort of use that as like a benchmark for navigation, right? Like what's my like life direction or my sense of direction? It's kind of it's like I couldn't figure that out on my own, so I'm gonna like, you know, find something as like a sort of like anchor to like this is something less ambiguous than what's going on inside, because what's going on inside is like very ambiguous, right? So it's like, here's something external that's like ostensibly like a little bit more solid that I can cling to, and then of course, you know, go out in the world and doing like you start doing work in that area and like figuring out more about it, and you realize that it's actually like not very like solid. Like this thing that you thought was like a sure bet is like actually just like rife with ambiguity. um which is, it's like, you
Uh-huh.
know, and I think that's like also part of the six thing. It's like that's a little bit terrifying to realize, but then there's a level to which I'm like still engaging with it, just because like it just
So
feels like I
you,
have to, you know, like it's like
yeah.
I I don't know. It's like a sense of like duty or something. Like I'm not going to back down now that I know that it's like more of a challenge that I anticipated. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, there's a lot of things to put, a lot actually that you've already laid out on the table, but I want to just pull out one thread first. So, kind of coming from the place of being a Bermuda six, that internal swirl, you were talking about a lot about internal ambiguity, it not being clear what you want to do, kind of not having access to some kind of inner compass, which is which is true for all Bermuda types, not just sixes.
Yeah.
But then something about environmental science feels certain, or like, first of all, it appeals to a super ego. This is good for the world kind of a thing. There's like a moral goodness about it, and therefore, so that's pinging the sixth thing. Plus social self-pres. It's kind of like large scale,
Yeah,
good
yeah.
for
The
society.
macro sphere.
The macro, yeah, the
Yeah,
that's that
totally.
whole social self-pres sensibility. And anyway, but then you entered into environmental science, and then were alarmed to discover that it was not as clear cut as you originally thought it was, and so now but have kind of doubled down since then on I don't know, like not being beaten by the challenge of it, not being beaten by the
Yeah, trying to navigate
yeah
it, like this
yeah
is complicated, but like I'm kind of like, I don't know, it's like I think with a lot of the like ambiguity and like often the contradictory, like I like the ironic, like contradictory nature of a lot of things that I'm oriented towards, it's like I kind of feel like I was like built to like fight this battle to the bitter end. You know what I mean? It's like that's like part of like the six like strength. It's like I'm the one who can like wade through this like contradictory bullshit and like hopefully like,
mm-hmm.
glean something from this or set it right.
What are some of the contradictions?
The contradictions, I mean, okay, like even like so part of it, it's like if you're like looking like, you're going to college or studying something, it's like you want to do this as like a career, right? It's like your your career, your method of making money and accruing resources has to be like is like going to be related to like environmental sustainability. So I don't know if I'm going to explain this well. It's somewhat inherently at odds with like the idea of sustainability. Like I'm gonna like you have all these industries popping up around sustainability that are like burning through huge amounts of resources, right, to like to justify their own existence. And there's of course a need to justify their own existence because everybody in these industries needs to like, you know eat and have like a place to live and like, whatever, basically like pay all their bills and stuff. So I don't know, I was at like the Bloomberg Green Festival, and it was like, it's like all these like climate like entrepreneurs and stuff, and they're like, here, how can we invent things and like create new like bullshit to like be more sustainable. And it's like, I mean, my perspective on all of it is kind of like what we need to be doing is just taking a step back and just consuming less. Like that's kind of like the elephant in the room that nobody wants to acknowledge. And it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
everybody's invested in like justifying like the reason why it's like they have to like burn through all these resources and like actively like whatever, like create something new to with the hopes that like one day it'll like go back around full circle and like lead to things being more sustainable and us living more in harmony with nature and not being as like kind of this like extractivist model. So it's all just deeply ironic. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Okay, that was really good. No, that whole noticing is very, I don't know, mental center six, social self prep. Just noticing that, I don't know, the hypocrisy is inherent in the
yeah,
system.
yeah, totally.
You know?
And it's also like
Yeah.
it's like I have to like go into the system to be someone who can like hopefully change it in some way. But it's also like kind of like, yeah, like it's like I'm going into like the Shark Tank or something, and that's gonna like
Hmm.
take a chunk out of me in the process. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a
And you
feeling.
mentioned a sense of duty around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too soapboxy. I mean, I'm a social self-res six, so there's probably like some extent
Yeah.
to which that's inevitable. But like, I would like to pivot
Yeah. Yeah.
away from like these are
Okay.
my specific like opinions on like
Okay.
all of this stuff. Go more into like the
Um.
personality side. Although I do
Yeah. Let's
obviously
do
it
that.
reflects it's reflecting things about my personality, like even saying this, right?
Yes. Let's see. I want to ask you about this. This thing that I've noticed when I talk to you. You're often making yourself laugh, and it's kind of great. It makes me laugh too. It kind of like, it feels like fun and loose, like just
Yeah.
talking to you. What's Yeah, what is that? Like, what's happening with that?
I don't know. I mean, like, I guess like I amuse myself. Like, I mean, like, I don't want to get too into like crossover with other systems. I mean, well, I do want to get into that later. We could get into that now if you want, like the whole like why I'm not a seven thing. Like, you're
I'm just sorry. Just like, okay, I
the
have to
ping
comment on this. Just
pong,
like,
yeah.
yeah, the ping pong,
My
the
life.
like going for 4 minutes into your soapbox and being like, I don't want to be on the soapbox
Yeah.
anymore, and then ask you a question about something. You're like, I don't want to do. Well, maybe we do, but I don't. Maybe that.
I'm
that
so
whole,
sorry, dude.
okay, no, that's really good. Okay, I do. All right, well, all right. Maybe that's you make yourself laugh. You have a 7 wing. There's that.
Seven, yeah.
Um,
I'm pseudo
there's
seven
also
in like
yeah.
4 different other systems is a thing, which is like I guess like one thing that's
Okay.
interesting is when I came into the EU group and I like submitted my first like unpaid typing video, I was like, I don't really know what type I am, but I know that I'm not a 7 or a 2. And then like a shit ton of people were typing me as 792 at first. And I was like, what the hell? Like, that's wild. And then I think I sort of got people to come around to like, guys, I'm not the 7. I'm not a 7. I swear. And like obviously I'm not like 2 fixed or even have any like 2 zones. But
Yeah.
but a lot of people were still saying 7. Like, people were pretty torn. And when I did get typed as 6, it was like kind of in the height of like a lot of the 7 retypes where they were retyping a lot of 7s as 9s. So it sort of like weirdly coincided with that like not a 7 thing. But yeah, I'm sort of pseudo 7ish because yes, 7 wing. I think but it's also like, yeah, I'm like an ENTP and MBTI. I've been getting into like the like Rob like expanded instincts thing. So it's like I'm unknown dominant, I guess, which is like the pseudo 7 instinct, and then I'm the PIS, like purpose interpersonal sensing stacking, which is also pseudo unknown and thus pseudo 7ish. So it's like that plus like those like 3 compounding factors plus just actually having a 7 wing, I think and then the triple frustration, right? Like the overlay for the Bermuda.
Right. Oh, that's
so it's
right.
just
Yeah,
I think it's just all like compounding. And yeah, I mean like the secondary 9 fix, I would say I at least would self-identify as like leaning more phobic than counterphobic. I know that I'm not always seen that way, maybe at first. But like I think the humor thing ties into like phobic 6 like defensive strategy. I could go off on that if you want me to, but I definitely have thoughts.
Let's go there.
Yeah, you want to
actually well 6 humor, let's go there. Let's because you have a whole thing about 6 humor.
Yeah, I wrote some notes for myself, but like I can also just sort of fire off the hip.
And I'll just say too, like part of what drew me to interview you was how many, like, you've produced a lot of memes in the Facebook group that are so good.
Thank you.
They're
appreciate
spot on. They're very funny. Yeah, no, they're like genuinely very, very funny. But yeah, and we talked about improv being that 6 wing 7 kind of space. So yeah, so what are your notes about 6 and humor?
I mean, I think like for me, like humor's always been a strength. This is maybe getting into like 3 wing 4 fix. There are a lot of 6s who I don't find funny, and there are a lot of 6s who find themselves funny, who are like self-identified with being humorous, who I also do not find funny. But like, but yeah, I mean, I do think that like it's somewhat of a common theme, especially with the 7 wing, but even with some 6 wing 5s. I had like this was like a very like formative like youth moment. I think I was like maybe 11 or 12, but I had this like theater teacher. I was like a theater kid. He was an 8 actually, like dead ass. Like he was like the like theater teacher, and he just like he was going into like 8 like law of the jungle speak, like you know what I mean. And he was talking about like how like in like tribal times, like you have people who survived by virtue of just being like stronger and bigger than other people, and then and then you have people who like kind of can't really depend on that, like and it's like a lot of like the reason why they were like kept around or like able to survive is just off of like funniness and like wit and like charisma, kind of like the jester's privilege like effect. and
Uh-huh.
and I think that's like kind of real, like in a phobic six way. It's like that can be sort of how I get ahead, or I'm able to like sort of like punch above my weight in a lot of ways, just because like I'm just funny as fuck, and that'll like unlock like the you know what I mean, like so
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
think
also it's just quick commentary on that. It's like there's the social self-pres awareness of like your like role. You could like
yeah,
the role of the jester, you know?
yeah,
It's like an
totally,
archetype, you know? Yeah.
yeah, like I'm fulfilling this archetype. I think there's so like there are a couple. Another part of it is like some like people are like this is tying into the not a seven. People are like, like you're so chill. Like, how are you a six or a reactive type or whatever? Like, I've gotten that sometimes, or like I myself have been like, well, I don't really relate to like a lot of these six descriptions, but it's like I think with like the really like phobic like six like comedian six like 6'9" stem, it's like it's sort of a way to like avoid reactivity or like get above reactivity, like give yourself a leg up. Like if I'm just this like smirking jester in the corner, like I'm not like you can't touch me. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
roasting
It's a certain kind of
myself, I'm
Teflon.
roasting
Yeah.
you, like I'm roasting everyone. I am giving the appearance of not being bothered. Like it's just
Hmm.
it's like yeah, I mean, to some extent, like with the roasting, that can be like playing offense to play defense, but it's also, it's just and it's like the contra, like being like ironic about it. It's like, yeah, there's just like this ironic sheen that I can just like paste over everything. And then it's like, people don't have to like see me as like the triggered, like, six stereotype, someone who's like screeching about like, um, how unjust things are towards them, or how much of a victim it's like I don't want to give that off, you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. I
um
wanted. I'm hearing a lot of three and four stuff in what you're saying. To me, it's not
Really.
obviously your core type, but yeah, just or I was thinking about um what would be different about you if you had a three two fix instead of three four. Like, but the three four allows you to be a little bit more like removed and also like um universally biting or something like that. Like, you know what I
Exactly,
mean?
yeah.
Like, you don't have this too like interpersonal super ego. Like, I want to make you feel like good about yourself, kind of like, or there. I mean, like, there's a, I don't know, but like you're, yeah. There's not an extra like super ego hurdle you have to jump over. In that space, like you can just be a little more Teflon.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the other thing with, so it's really interesting with like three-wing two fixed sixes is like I didn't I didn't realize how prevalent it was, like among even like a lot of the sixes and like the six coded communities that I'm like hanging out in all the like in the punk scene. It's like most of the people in the most, it's like obviously like a ton of sixes, and like I'm gonna get into that later, but like
Yeah,
they're all fucking three-wing two fixers, like in this like punk activist space, especially like activism. It's like I'll like bring up the Enneagram, and like this happened a couple times, and it's like online the perception is that everyone's like mistyping is like 4 or 5 or 8, like the dark hexad, right? Like everyone just like you
yeah,
like
yeah.
see yourself as this like brooding edge lord or whatever, and you're actually like sunny like golden retriever, like whatever, like that's the perception, but it's like, but
Brooding edge lord. Yeah.
like
Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah.
like but it's like in a lot of these like six community, it's like I like bring, I'm always hesitant to bring up the Enneagram in real life because everyone's like horribly mistyped, and like I was too. It's like a rite of passage, but like it's still like I don't really know how to react to that. But but all these sixes were they were self typing as twos, which was so interesting because it's like, because I would never do that in a million years. Like two is like the type, like I want to be like a good person or whatever. Like again, like with the whole like environment like
Sure.
orientation,
Yeah.
but I'm not like seeing myself as someone who's just like available and like giving. I'm kind of like I like getting myself enmeshed in a contract like that like sounds like the worst thing ever to me. It's like I kind of just want to like hide in my room and like play video games or whatever, like go on the computer,
Hmm.
like I don't. But it's like, but they're all self-identifying as twos, and then I was kind of like, damn, they're probably like three-wing two fixed. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
they might be
Hmm.
two fixed, but like on it's probably just three-wing two fixed. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's like there's such a like identification with the like wanting to be good thing. Like it's not even like part of my experience of like throwing four fix six, and it's like, and I think there was a lot more of this in like like emo music, and like a lot of like a lot of like the rock music that's like really like self-hating. Like you have these like singers who are like it's like very like six wing seven three wing four stem. um is that like I don't automatically see myself as a good guy. Like I want to be the good guy, I guess, but like it's also like I'm just like very aware that like I have like a darker side. And I like explore that in like art and like creative expression and stuff. I'm not just like I'm like this like two-dimensional like hero who like shits like rainbows or like whatever. But it's like I think you like even with the six duality, and like six can be kind of a dark type. You have a lot of sixes who are still not really going there, and that kind of surprised me. Like
Going
going
to
towards
sorry.
like interrogating themselves as like, oh, I'm like this fucked up dark thing. It's even you see it a lot like with the like 3-2 area sixes and like escapist entertainment or like aesthetics like music, like the kind of like a lot of the like art that they're like enjoying. And again, like even in like the punk scene where you wouldn't necessarily like think that, it's like the I'd be like hanging out with people and they would like want to like watch something really like positive with like a happy ending, and like no like
Hmm.
moral grayness. It's like this is a story about the heroes beating the bad guys. It's like very like
Hmm.
because it's
Hmm.
like because that scene is like an escape from like the real world or whatever. It's like I
I
was
see.
always
I
really
see. Yeah.
drawn, like I'm a writer, like I write stories where there kind of like aren't any good guys, where everyone's like a little bit like fucked up. They're like anti-heroes and anti-villains, and everyone has like a kind of like, because I see that as like more believable, right?
Yeah. That's
um
um. I kind of love that we're in this territory because it's. I agree. There is a predominant three wing two fixed kind of overlay in our I would just society in general. I would say, and so a lot of the let's see, yeah, like the sort of the Hollywood theme of like the triumphant redemptive ending and everyone's good on the inside, that kind of that kind of thing has that two flavor, even if it's not core, but there's some
yeah.
two element in the typing there. Whereas with four, it's a little more removed, a little more willing to believe the realness of moral grayness and not everyone has a redemptive kind of good heartedness kind of in them or something like that, you
Yeah.
could say. This, like the art that's more four flavored is willing to kind of not go there and just kind of hang out in the darkness, you could say. um I wanted to mention, or like, there's you mentioned the punk scene. You were involved in a punk band during college. You mentioned punk scene being six coded. um do you want to go there?
Yeah, I'd love to. I think that's like um I have a ton of thoughts on that.
Okay.
I mean, I guess like let's start at like that it's sort of an inherent contradiction, right? Because it's a subculture around like nonconformity. Like there's always some jackass who's like talking about like, oh, like you think that you're a punk but you all like have mohawks and like dress the same way, like you know what I mean? It's like you're like you destroyed the whole punk scene, like how will it recover? And like I think, but there's also there's an element to like there's an element of validity to those critiques and just how like unself-aware a lot of punks can be about that. Like that does sort
Uh-huh.
of like it does sort of like lend them weight. And this is like tying back to maybe like the 3-week 2 fixed. This is also I'm being such a I feel like I'm being such a, because like I have like the most normie like 6-wing 7 9-wing 1 stem, but I'm definitely just punching down at like the few like types that are like more normie than me. that like that in of itself is like 6. Like I'll take the tiny leg up and just fucking kick everyone else in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but also 3-week forfeits as well.
But I'm spitting facts, right? Like,
Yeah, keep going.
But wait, so the easy cheap shot is that it's like, yeah, you're all dressing, you're wearing safety pins and you're dressing in black, and you think that you're like the most subversive, rebellious little like, whatever, like you're gonna like destroy society with like the by doing a thing that like a bunch of other people are doing and making art
and you're saying that's, are you saying that that's partially 6 coded in the sense that it's like conformity around nonconformism, or
yeah, I mean, well, yeah,
like
it's like, so there's a band of outcasts like 6 thing. Yeah. There's like the idea of like you're gonna run away from an authority but sort of like into the arms of another authority, like, which is what's tragic about a lot of like 6 stories or 6 arcs or something. But I'm not like the punk scene is the worst thing ever. I mean, like I just think it's like, it's just kind of funny. It's there, right? Like we gotta like, like there's a wanting to be accepted. Yeah, like the band of, it's like I didn't belong and then I was accepted somewhere else. Like I found somewhere where I could belong. There's like I mean, yeah, again, it's like also like the idea that like there's sort of like this like one upping each other, like sort of circle jerk of like, I'm more punk than you, which is like also getting into like SOSP and like elitism, like 6 flavored, like calling people a poser, right? It's like that's like SOSP, like you're gonna like gatekeep accent, but it's also like you're calling someone a poser and saying, basically you're saying that they don't belong and that they're like too like to what is it to be a poser? Like you're like some rich kid, like, or whatever, like you're
fake or whatever. Yeah,
like or you're, yeah, like, or you're not some hard like badass who like grew up in like a gutter sewer or something and has like 80 billion tattoos and like, whatever, like fights cops for a living. Like I like I think like everybody's kind of a poser. But it's like, but even like the act of calling somebody a poser, it's like you're too elite for like to be part of this. Like you're part of like the elite, like fakeness, but you're also being elitist because you're like gatekeeping, like I know more about, so it's like elitist in being like to be the most punk rock person, it's like you have to be the most like down to earth, anti-establishment, anti-elitist person ever. So if you're saying like you don't meet this bar for being the most down to earth, anti-establishment, anti-elitist, it's like that's such a contradiction. Like that's like so fascinating, like
that was extremely well done. Yeah, and also there's something too about like calling someone a poser feels like it has a social 6 flavor to me, in the sense that it's like, here are the conventions or norms of like what it means to be authentically this social category. And if you're if you're somehow not authentically being the social category, then you're therefore like phony,
right? Yeah. But it's like, but not authentically being that can be more authentic in a lot of ways, right? Because if you're trying to conform to some sort of social category that's like a little bit inauthentic by default. But it's, and yeah, I mean the like elitism, anti-elitism thing, it's like, I mean that's like going into like sort of like college campuses. It's like the activism side of 6, which again, like I don't really disagree with like any or most of like the points that they're making about like issues with the world and like solutions to solving them, but it's like it's more that there's like, that's very like ivory tower-esque to be like all of society should be this way, like we're gonna like if you're like an activist and like, or like a punk, you're conceptualizing of an alternative society, but like to have that frame of view, to be like oriented towards that, is a very top down mindset, right? like that's very like okay, if you're gonna like actually live in alignment with any of that, like you're probably gonna be occupying leadership positions, like first of all, right? Which is like that's something you're uncomfortable with if you're against hierarchies and like
Which is
you want
anti-punk. Yeah.
yeah it's anti-punk. You want people to organize together on a large scale and form into groups, which generally is going to require some degree of rules guiding everyone together. Like you get into like how it's like that mindset of viewing the world is not like it's really just it's super self-contradictory. I'm not like, and I'm not saying it's like a bad thing at all. It's just that it's like I mean there are bad sides to it, but it's more that it's just fascinating. Like I love punk. Like I've been in all these punk bands. It's like this is something that like I derive a lot of meaning from, you know what I mean? And there's so much truth like in there. Like
What's the meaning you derive? What do you like about it?
The meaning that I mean I think it just like with a lot of my own art, it kind of like I was really inspired by a lot of like punk artists. And then like it kind of helped me like kind of relate to myself and like I organically sort of found it. It was like this is something that's speaking to me. This is so fucking like Bermuda vague right now, I'm sure, but it's like I don't know, um it's just like the disaffection with society, like the idea that like we're all just going in the wrong direction and like everything's just gonna like topple off a cliff. The idea of like finding your own like inner resolve, the kind of like the idea that like you have a counterphobic side. It's like again, like I talked about being a theater kid, like I was pretty like I was very goody two shoes growing up. I think I still am in a lot of ways, like low key, but like, I was like getting good grades and stuff, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I also have this side to me that like wants to like kind of burn it all down. And it's like getting like expressing that through art, like going up on stage and just like screaming about things, just like, and just writing like really like misanthropic, like self-hating, like lyrics, and just being able to like tap into that, and like having a space where you could tap into that, having like a sense of like fashion where you could like express that side of yourself. It's like I didn't really like have an outlet for that for a while, you know what I mean?
You found it through punk.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly like helped, and yeah, and also just like having a community or a way of engaging with community that I could actually be interested in is also huge.
What's fascinating about this, I guess this is another contradiction here. It's
yeah.
like this needs this like I don't know, a deep need to express your individuality in a communally safe space.
Yeah.
Number one. Two is this you're seeing how like you want to rip everything down, at the same time you're holding these contradictions, like there are benefits to rules and structure, at the same time I fucking hate it all. And that produces in you a kind of like primal, I don't know, like a violent scream at the same time that you want to express. At the same time, you don't want to actually like rip everything down. Maybe is I'm not sure if this is exactly right, but
I want to rip some things down.
Anywhere?
I get what you're saying. I mean, like what I'll say is like it's not like that's where the like gotcha critiques of like punk, like I think they like carry some weight, but there's also an extent to which it's like if you're critical of a system, it behooves you to have an alternative system in mind, right? Like it's not that I'm anti-rules, it's that I think that the existing rules are like deeply fucked up. It's like I would like to create like a more just, and that, I mean, that end of itself is like, yeah, it's like, you're more like pro-social or whatever, or like, yeah, pro-cohesion and like just societally oriented. I'm not uncomfortable with that fact. It's just it's also like I didn't, like a lot of the ways of like being community oriented, I just like did not at all vibe with. Like, again, it's like, you're like going up in your room to like hide from everyone because it's just like, I don't want to engage. Like, and this is like, this was like an area where it's like, okay, like I have, like people I'm interested in talking to, like there's like shared meaning over art. I mean, not I'm not interested in talking to all of them, but like like it's also it became like if it's like now I actually want to like be engaged in a community in a way that like actually feels meaningful to me, not like whatever like showing school spirit or like whatever the fuck, or like a lot of like I love my family, but like a lot of like family orientation or like being like like big like extended family, just like yeah, a lot of that like um but but it's like if I'm like once I got really involved in the punk scene, I was like organizing shows and like volunteering a lot, like going to like mutual aid events, like getting just super involved in things that were like in alignment with my values, like whether that's like
Yeah.
like yeah, giving free food to people in parks, or like setting up shows and supporting other bands and being like, yeah, I want to get your band on the bill so that you can um break into this and like do kind of do this too. It's just like just like a platform for uh you know advancing values that were like more near and dear to my heart, and not something that's like been
Yeah.
forced on me, but something that I'm actually choosing.
That you choose. Yeah, that's a huge. I'm really glad you brought it there, because it's like that's the devotional aspect of six, and the like support aspect, and the kind of community orientation of six. The let's see the way that it's like, yeah, the advancement of values that I actually believe in. And maybe another way to put it is that six is like constantly on the lookout for, or is not on the lookout, is maybe too almost like, I don't know, it's not quite the right way to say it. Sixes are always noticing um, the implicit values and expectations and standards in a given environment,
Yeah,
and
I think that's fair to say.
you know what I mean. And so, finding a culture and a community or a subculture in punk that actually did align with your values, you found yourself kind of all the fibers of your being in aligned with it, despite noticing the contradictions within the punk scene. There's still something true
It's
about it for
yeah, it's
you
speaking to me.
that feels, yeah, that feels like it's resonating with something core.
And yeah, I mean, it's very nuanced. Like there are things I like about it. There are things I hate about it. You know what I mean? Like there are people that I like. There are people that I hate. There are punk scenes that I think are positive. There are punk scenes that I think are toxic, where everyone's like horrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it just kind of is what it is. Like I'm not like at this stage, I'm not like idolizing it or like turning like this is actually I idolized it and then I realized that it was the worst thing ever. Like that's I got like I had like that moment too, because yeah, there was a lot of like yeah, like I sort of like kind of had to like confront like the dark side of it. Like I don't know.
You know what's
It's
coming
just
up for me too
yeah.
is a what's feeling clear, what's coming into focus for me, is the way that you're a triple attachment type with triple frustration overlay, where it's like you have this like open absorptive wannabe, what's the right way to put it, yeah, just the attachment thing of being
Like that
and
universal
receptive to
human
quality.
experience kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But when you ingest something, or when you're in a community and you're absorbing its energy or whatever, it inevitably runs up against the triple frustration kind of inner tuning fork, and it's like, oh, here's all the things that are
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
with
yeah.
this, and so it generates a lot of interactivity and a lot of like inner mental activity, where you notice the things that you like about it, that you're attaching to, things you're frustrated about it, that you want some distance from, trying to find some kind of optimal harmonious state between attachment and frustration, or something like that, that you're
Yeah.
processing through the mental
There's
center.
also I think there's also like an eternal seeker aspect to that,
Yeah.
because it's like you want to experience all of the world, but you're also just constantly being frustrated by it, which sort of like leads you to like kind of try to seek like new
Yeah.
horizons. The last thing I'll say about like the punk six thing is that I think it's like it's just there's just something really compelling about that, like the fact that it's like being I mean, six is a very common type, and people can certainly relate to communities and like any sort of collective in this in a similar way that like a lot of punks relate to like or a lot of sixes relate to the punk scene. But it's not only exposing like how contradictory it's like it is like the punk scene is, it's kind of exposing like the contradiction of a lot of communities. And it's like, but it's the most extreme, stark example because it's like, it's just ridiculous. It's like, it's a community based
Yeah.
around non-conform. Like that's hilarious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yes. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the extreme of like, you have like, whatever, like the Catholic Church, America, Dubai, like any country, any religion, any group, the EU, like, like what, like any group of people that exists ever is going to run into these tensions and these contradictions. But when you blow it up to the most like ridiculous, it's like, this is getting into like the parody, like satire aspect. It's like, you have to take it to the most extreme version. I think this is also part of like what's cool about Six. Like, you take it to the extreme to understand it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you have
Mm-hmm.
to do that. You have to dredge it into the light. Like that's kind of how I feel about a lot of like my creative process, and like with a lot
I
of
was
like
just gonna go there. Yeah.
satire.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple times in our like lead up to this conversation just the creative potential in the split nature of
Yeah.
Six. Those interpolarities create a lot of creative tension. So let's go there. Can you talk
Yeah.
about that? Just because actually, and let's set it up too, because part of the thing, maybe a stereotype of Six or an unfair interpretation of Six, is that because Six is piecing together a map of reality based on I don't know, other people's maps, vetting external sources and stuff like that, there can be an assumption that people make from that sixes are operating within structures and not thinking outside the box and not
Yeah.
creative, quote unquote, right? And so there's like uh, a misinterpretation of Six where people feel that sixes are not I don't know, yeah, just I don't know,
Yeah.
just
Like
not
it's
creative or something, or whatever. So
anti-creativity.
anti-creativity, yeah.
Like,
So and yeah, go ahead. This is another. I'm inviting you to
yeah.
get on your
So,
soapbox,
I mean,
but
I
take it
think
wherever you
the
want.
pushing things to like the logical extreme to expose how ridiculous they are, or to expose truths about them in general, is like kind of a critical part of the creative process. I think um like the polarity, the duality aspect of Six, which has overlaps with like the sexual instinct. Not that necessarily correlates to creativity either, but it's like there's like, it's like you have this like inner tension, this going back and forth between poles. It's like that's like an energetic like force that you could like harness to create something new or interesting, or like that's gonna like, you feel like it's gonna like shake things up. I think it's like a big part of it is like emotional to me. Like a lot of my favorite lyrics, and I'm a pretty good lyricist. Like when I was like making music, I was writing a lot of lyrics and I was really focused on that. It's like all my favorite lyricists are sixes. Um because if you're attuned to the ways that you're like split, or you're ping-ponging, or like you have this like murky ambiguity, like a lot of that can be really ugly, but it's kind of like by seeing that and like writing about it and just being like honest and like open about it, it's like that in of itself is, I think it's like unlocking a lot of like just deep emotional expression. You know what I mean? That
Mm-hmm.
like it's just very raw, I think.
Yeah.
um
How how is that manifesting in your novel?
my novel, so I mean, this is kind of tying back to the punk thing, or like the taking something to its logical extreme, is like I was going into like, yeah, environmentalism, punk, international development, like the fact that it's like you're having this like view of like we have to fix all of society, but you don't want to like organize into group or like lead people or whatever, like force things on people or whatever. um and I was like, a big part of my book is that it deals with like an anarchist punk themed mega corporation. And it's like it's called like Praxis Industries, and they're trying to like take over the world to like instate some utopia, and of course it goes like horribly wrong. And it's like, it's also like they're anti-hierarchy, so it's like if they make an AI that's just gonna like diffuse everything and rule over everything, it's like no human can be better than each other. But like the process of like creating that AI is like in and of itself informed by human bias. So they're sort of like they're haunted by this like this corruptibility. And it's like, I mean, there are there are critiques of like the ways that like, you know, making fun of like there are critiques of the ways that like making fun of capitalism or like or satirizing or like I don't know, it's like you have movies that are like $1 billion like, you know, generating like movies that are all about like blowing up the system or whatever, like, and it's like made by
Okay,
like
right, yeah.
Hollywood, and you know they're like, you know, by like billionaire
Mhm.
executives and like whatever. It's like it wasn't going into that as much because I think that's like somewhat played out or explored. It was more of like they've created this mega corporation as like a earnest attempt to consolidate enough power to be able to go toe to toe with the people, with the systems that they'd have to fight against to like win, basically. So it's like it's sort of like the process of like power corrupting, or just like even when you have like completely good intentions or you're going into it with pure intentions, it's like how, yeah, if you create a system a certain way, is it like is it just going to end up like entrenching power in certain hands and sort of being self-defeating? You know what I mean? Like that was kind of what I wanted to explore with it. And it's also like it was it was somewhat like the punk themed mega corporation was somewhat like the lesser of two evils, or a little bit justified within the context of the book, even though they like commit all these like atrocities. You know, they like use child soldiers in like other countries and stuff, and like the main character is like he was a former child soldier, so he's kind of like coming back to like smack them in the face like a little bit. And it's like even like the fact that they created child soldiers ends up kind of smacking them in the face in the end, because the main character and the antagonist were both former child soldiers, and they end up the antagonist ends up serving the agenda of like a rival mega corporation. So it's like you use child soldiers to get this like greater good result so that you could ideally eventually get some sort of like utopian end state. But now one of those like the harm that you've caused and the evil that you've caused, one of those child soldiers is going to grow up to be the guy who like nukes you, like drops a nuclear bomb on you. You know what I mean? It just comes back around. It's like by taking those greater good shortcuts, you're getting hurt in the long run in ways that aren't necessarily like immediately obvious. That might not be obvious for decades, but in the context of the story, it's like it's about pushing the needle, because it's like it sort of goes into like nuclear risk and like mutually assured destruction. Like it's an ocean megacity built on top of the like the Pacific Ocean trash patch called New
I forgot. Yeah.
Bermuda. But it's ruled over by this AI superintendent called the Armistice Program, who will nuke everyone if they declare war on each other. So there's been 100 years of world peace between these mega corporations that like in the past had a world war, and they were all like, you know, slinging nuclear weapons at each other. But it's like the stalemate needs to be broken because there are contradictions inherent in the system that are bubbling up and like going to tear it apart. Like there's been 100 years of
That's
world
it.
peace.
That's it right there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
been 100 years of world peace, but there actually hasn't, because they've just been fighting wars around the world in like with third party private military contractors, and that's what the child soldier characters were fighting. And it's like there's no actual peace. It's just like you can ignore it in the city,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's like the conflict kicks off because two of the mega corporations have a merger. They consolidate power, and they want to fly to space and nuke everyone else basically, and then recolonize the Earth when the dust is settled. So the current system is not like accounting for that. Like there's like a loophole. There's a little loophole they can exploit, and things are gonna go wrong. So at the end of the book, the heir to the punk themed mega corporation like uploads his brain into the AI computer to be able to fire off a nuke and stop the spaceship as it's like flying into space, and also to be able to stop the nukes that are coming down at the world from hitting the world. Like they just like divert them and, you know, fire them into space or whatever. So it's like that's necessary to save the world, but since he uploaded his brain into an AI, now punk theme mega corporation is in charge of everything, and they've become totally corrupted by power. So it's like his own actions are like heroic, and he's doing what needs to be done in the moment to save, hundreds of millions of lives, billions of lives. But in the long-term future, it's like there's still an unjust like power structure on the throne, and that's going to have complications later down the line that need to be dealt with. So he kind of like sends a message to the characters. He's like, one day, like, you'll need to kill me too. Like you'll need, like, I'll do what I can, but like you will need to take me out. Like the AI version, the guy that uploaded his brain to the AI is bleeding out, and he's watching like the nuclear like sunset, and he's happy that he got to die a human instead of a machine, because he knows that the machine version of himself is going to get corrupted by power eventually. And he's like, yeah, I'm bleeding out, like I've been shot like in the final conflict, but like at least I can die like with my humanity, like my purity, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how it ends.
Okay. Okay, there's a lot to say
Yeah,
about that novel.
I went on
I'm just make a couple of points. First of all, that was amazing. I don't know how long you were talking. That was just an amazing synopsis. It's clear, like, one difference between 6 and 9 is that like 9 is oriented to that like harmonious, stable, like resting place. But you being core 6, being like a realness type, a reactive type, plus having triple frustration, it's like there's just this profound restlessness, or almost it's almost like you're exposing this underlying truth that there is no final resting state of ultimate peace, because today's solutions create tomorrow's problems.
Yeah.
And it's just always this churn of, even with the best intentions, there's always inherent contradictions in any kind of system, and they will always bubble up no matter how long a period of peace may or may not be. There's tensions that are working themselves out
absolutely,
that will have to get resolved. Yeah. And happening at scale with, like, there's so much social self-pres just stuff going on in your novel, in the sense that each character almost represents a certain kind of social template, or is like each organization in the book, it's like these, how do I say it, like condensations of values embedded in characters that, and their actions have social meaning in terms of the political context that you're creating. And so, yeah, a lot of just social self-pres, like
they're like an archetype or an exemplar of,
That's right. Yeah.
Totally.
And you finished a draft, right?
Yeah. 320
awesome.
pages. I wasn't sure
amazing.
I would do it, but I did. Yeah.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
Thanks.
I can't wait to read it.
Hell yeah.
So, okay. So, but to the kernel of that whole topic was just how there's creative potential in the split nature of 6, the inner polarities that 6 is aware of. And I guess actually that was a really good
example,
example of it. I mean, just you literally you created an entire novel out of the impossibility of resolving inner splits.
Right. Yeah.
At a social self-pres scale,
Yeah. And it's like, it's also deeply personal. You know what I mean? Like, it's, how could this be like relatable or person? But it kind of is, it's like, this is like informed by like my interaction with the punk scene, like my career trajectory. I think going into like the realness or the reactivity, it's like within myself, it's interesting because it's like, you have 6s who are like hardcore like fighter archetypes, like a 6 Kyle, right, is gonna be like doing this a lot more in real time. It's like with me again, it's like, this is tying into the humor thing, the phobic thing. It's like, it's more of like a realness, like a trickster thing. It's like I'm not gonna, like, it's not direct. It's like, I'm gonna write a novel that's gonna have all this stuff. Again, it's like, I'm pretty like chill, like, and I'm not like starting conflicts with people, like, all, like it's like yeah, it's like, I do have like a secondary like 9-wing 1 fix, like, like, which is like a double-edged sword, because I think I'm more generally likable, but I also do sometimes wish that I could like be bringing a lot more of this like fighter energy in real time, but it's also like it's just kind of how I operate. It's like I'm not gonna win in a one-on-one fight, and that ties back to the like law of the jungle, like humor is a survival mechanism. It's like I win by like sort of going around, you know what I mean? Like that's just
Hmm.
kind of how I like have to do things. Like, and it's very like it's
How are you
very
getting that
satirical and like yeah, it's also kind of like intellectual and detached. Like I'm gonna write a book, and that's
as
gonna
opposed
express
to?
some as opposed to like get into a fight with someone. You know what
I
I
see,
mean?
and you're putting that
Like
on the nine wing one
yeah,
fix. I see.
and
Okay, yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah,
Bermuda
yeah.
too. Probably social dom plays into it.
Right, right, and not
Um,
having any eight.
but it's also
Yeah,
but also the nine wing one fix is
yeah,
like nine wing one is like the creative, withdrawn, like kind of bookish in some ways, right? So it's
yeah, yeah. Novelist
like
type. Yeah.
if you're not like if not nine wing one fix is also maybe not going to be able to like write a novel or have or I mean, you know, maybe they could, but it's like or just be as like kind of withdrawn, creative, and also sort of like sharp about it. Like here's my like crystallized vision. So I think that's really
Hmm.
serving my six agenda in a lot of ways, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. You mentioned. I loved your phrase in what you wrote to me. Sisyphean confidence. Um,
Yeah.
can I? I'll read the thing
Sure.
you wrote.
Yeah.
You said, um, I would say, unfortunately, attaining a lot of general confidence, especially in social contexts, has been borderline Sisyphean. Like I will undergo supposed character growth and act in ways that seem like I've attained some higher level of confidence and feel like I've permanently got over an issue, then have the foundation fall out from under me and feel back to square one.
Yeah. Damn. I was in a mood when I wrote that. No, but it's very real, and I
Okay.
feel that constantly.
Yeah.
Like I'm not to
Mm-hmm.
downplay that. That is like definitely how I feel about things.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah. I mean, I think it like
Actually, it's there's a parallel to your novel there, right? It's that whole like
oh,
whatever gets resolved,
will
is
inevitably. Yeah.
a new platform. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like just to speak very honestly, like an area where like the Enneagram has almost been a little harmful to
Okay.
get
Yeah.
into. It's like, you know, I got into it at a pretty young age. Like fortunately not when I was like a
Mm-hmm.
teenager or anything, but you know, like early
Mm-hmm.
20s. Um
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a level of like psychological like excavation that it's like you see some things and they're kind of hard to unsee. I reached a really high level of confidence a couple of years ago, and it sort of felt like, all right, this is it. Like I'm like, you know, I've become an adult who's like a fully formed person who has a ton of confidence, and then, you know, stuff happened that like really yanked the rug out from under me, and it's I just felt like like just horrible and just insecure all the time, and like
Was that stuff around your relationship or?
yeah, I mean, it was related to my relationship. It was also just the fallout of a lot of different friendships around COVID. There, I think COVID kind of brought out the worst in like everyone, and there was a lot of drama. Um,
Mhm.
and I mean, it was just like, but also, I mean, again, like I don't know if like discovering the Enneagram around that time like really helped, to be honest, because it was like, you know, whatever, I'm a 6'9" stem, so I'm like, you know, a fucking like pussy or whatever, you know, just like just seeing the way like I was always somewhat aware
Sure.
of
Yeah.
like being like having people pleasery tendencies or whatever, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just like I think just having that like more like nakedly on display or seen as like something that I would be constantly battling with, as opposed to something that I could like have a like character arc where I got over and then just never have to worry about that anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like and yeah, I mean, it was just a combination of factors, and it's also it's like I mean, I want like again, it's like six being a realness type. It's like I want to know the truth, right? Like
Yeah.
no matter how ugly it is and how horrible it is, like it's part of my like, you know, my cynical like soul, my skeptic, my truth orientation. It's like give it to me, you know what I mean? It's like I would rather know than not know, and I think that like attaining like a level of self-awareness that maybe I didn't have earlier is like, you know, it's kind of helping me build back a stronger foundation, but I've also been a lot more like just constantly a little bit anxious about building the foundation and the construction process, because there's that awareness that it can all come crumbling down, and I'm not like the crumbling down thing, like I'm not putting that on the Enneagram or whatever. um it's just or even the awareness that it can come crumbling down. That's more just like stuff that I've like dealt with. Um, but it's like I I know, and this is probably a self-pres social six, but it's like you have like I think it was Charles Dickens. He a lot of his books have to do with like poverty and like characters climbing out of poverty or just making ends meet, and he grew up in extreme poverty and became really wealthy. And something about him that I always found interesting is that he had this like deep-seated fear or mindset that it could all come crashing down at any minute. Like he never really felt completely secure in like materially. Like this is like the self-pres social version, but I feel like I'm doing that a little bit like socially almost. Like you know, whether that be like a level of confidence or it's like it's there's an awareness that like I'd say something or do something and it would all just come crashing down at any moment. And that like that kind of terrifies me, and that like I think it like I think part of like the six extreme like sort of self-interrogation can be really like it can lead to a lot of conscientiousness, which is like certainly something I appreciate in other sixes. And like, you know, I think it's like a good trait that I have, like just the like the care, right? Like the yeah, the conscientiousness. But it's also like if you're just like interrogating and you're afraid that that's gonna fall out, like that's diminishing your ability to show up in real time as someone who's like just embodying like a lot of like confidence. And you know, it's like that's just been difficult to navigate. I'm also 25, so you know, um ideally I would like this to like develop and get better, but it's like you know, I mean, it's been kind of cyclical so far, and that
Yeah,
makes me uncomfortable, honestly.
that makes
You
sense.
know.
Yeah, yeah, and you're pointing to kind of the passion of the six, which sometimes I don't know. People call it fear, anxiety. I like the word angst, but it's
I
like
like that word too.
it's yeah, it's because the essential quality of six is truth, which is not like truth in a sort of objective sense, but it's more like a feeling of being fundamentally supported, of being able to trust myself. It's I guess it's a certain kind of a causeless confidence or just a self faith maybe is a
Wow,
way to put
yeah,
it.
I always
You
thought of
know,
it as like literal truth. And I think it certainly can be, but that's like yeah, I think that's
yeah.
really real too.
Well, so yeah, this is what happens with the six. I mean, in the traditional way that the Enneagram is taught, it's like when sixes fall out of touch with essential truth. By the way, and actually, let me say a little more about essential truth. It's like it's a quality of consciousness that you can be present to when you are present. You know, it's like a
Mhm.
sense of a feeling like I have a foundation underneath me. And when we lose touch with that, it's like that's what stirs up our angst. And then six as a mental type tries to start. It engages the mental center to discover or manufacture the truth that it has lost. And so that's where you get into all the mentalizations and the noticing contradictions. And I don't think there's nothing I can stand on. There's no way to orient around here with a sense of certainty. And so sixes are trying to manufacture a sense of certainty um, through the mental center.
Yeah,
But of course, like every type, it's a doomed project, and so that's why you
yeah.
get that cyclical nature. Um,
The
yeah, and so anyway, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like the manufacturing a sense of certainty through the mental center. It's like I mean that can show up in a ton of different ways, and that I mean that does tie into the objective truth thing because you're trying to figure out what's real. I mean I think there's sixes who are maybe more like you know emotion leading or whatever who are trying to
Mm-hmm.
find some like inner truth or something more subjective. But I mean I do think like the way it shows up for me a lot of the time is like literally like how can I better understand reality and then orient myself around that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah.
like
When you say like, or go ahead, go
like
ahead.
there's a I mean this could be another tangent if you want, but there I mean there's a degree to which like objective truth is very uncertain. Like we have color wavelengths that we can't see. You know what I mean? Like they're like our sense and you can say like you can cite data and like empirical like metrics, but like I don't know. It's like, I mean there could be yeah like there's like the floating spaghetti monster you know right behind me that like I can't see or interact with or like that's possible. You know what I mean? I think like I think we can still like exercise our best judgment and be like, all right, well, if this thing isn't like tangible, it's
Yeah.
probably not true, and just go with like the best map that we've got. But that map is always going to be a little bit like there's like an element of like uncertainty just inherent, and that's like the mental center, and like I think six.
Well, no, that was a really good explanation of the core underlying fear of the mental center, which, by the way, all types 5, 6, and 7 in the mental center are
Mm,
wrestling with, is the inherent uncertainty of existence, and reality is always is essentially unmappable in its totality.
yeah,
There's always things that are outside of our perception, or we could be wrong in our perceptions, and that's what causes the fear. But being a social six, I think what I'm curious about it, because I think you framed this whole thing about like losing confidence in a social sense, like confident in a social setting. You said, I would say, unfortunately, because I asked you this question. This is one of my questions in the interview. Is I asked is there a life lesson you had to learn over and over again, and you said yes. Attaining a lot of general confidence, especially in social context, has spelled. So, what does it mean to have confidence in a social context?
it's a good question. Like I think there's a little bit like showing up in a way that's like you're not wavering. You're not gonna like backpedal or I mean there's definitely like out outsource your authority to someone else. Be like, you want to answer this question to like someone like I mean sometimes that can be good to do, but you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like sort of like an abnegation of your own um like agency and like your own like this is what I'm about, like your own location. I think the Bermuda thing too, it's like, like I can go into like hardcore chameleon mode. Like I'm not right now because this is like like we're talking about like a thing like I think I'm really vibing with you, and like it's also like this is like one of my like like main interests that really like lights me up. But like there are
Yeah,
contexts where I'll just go like full like Bermuda chameleon, like very like not really showing a lot of like my personality or anything.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess that I mean maybe that might be too like negative, or this is what confidence isn't. I think for me, it's just like feeling myself, like own it. Like again, it's like
Yeah.
a lot of the time, like when I'm being really funny or like getting like everyone to laugh, or like this is my cool, weird, creative project, and people are like getting really into it. Sometimes in like leadership context too, or it's like this is my vision. Like with the improv club, it's like
Hmm.
I like felt like a fire inside about like this is something I'm like passionate about. Like I want to um create this thing, and it's like I created it and people were like getting really into it, and it's like I'm here like teaching people and like showing them about it. So I just like just showing up
That's
like that.
cool.
I
Yeah.
also think like I mean part of it's like just being willing to like have conflicts with people, like stand by things, like stand by your own values. Like I've certainly like had difficulty with that before. So
With yeah,
with
I wonder if
conflicts,
with secondary 9, especially there's a kind of
yeah,
there can be a reflexive wilting or something.
yeah,
Um,
honestly, like
yeah,
I don't really like love that about myself.
yeah.
um
So what's helped you with that? I mean, can you tell me, say more about the improv experience and what other than being rejected by the other two groups, like what prompted you to do it, and why did you sustain that project, and what was it like for you to do that?
um yeah, I mean I think part of it was like a sort of like it kind of hurt a lot to be rejected. I was
Yeah,
going into a new, and this is like so like social, like I was going into a new social context for the first time. um you had these really selective improv clubs on campus. um my campus was weird, like I've never seen this before, but like the improv clubs were almost like celebrity status a little bit. Like they were like people got really into it, and like I was like crushing it in the interview, or like not the interviews, in the
audition.
auditions, and like I got called back to both of them, and they were both like that they kind of like I just like barely got edged out basically. And I think part of it was that they just like didn't really vibe with me on like a personal level. Like they were trying to see if I could like I had like a second interview with one, and it was like very strange because they were like, well, we know you're like really good at improv, and we like you're hilarious, and it's like, but can we vibe on like a 1-to-1 level? And I think I like failed the vibe check a little bit, like, and I was kind of pissed off, and like I was also like I was going to these, like, I can get self-righteous about it, but it, like, ultimately, like, I'm acutely aware that if I had gotten in, I'd just be in, and you know what I mean? So it's like I don't really think I have any like self-righteousness leg to stand on, but um I don't like I also kind of don't think that matters in terms of like what ended up happening. Like I was going to all these auditions, or like 50 people, like 95% of people weren't getting in. 90 to 95% weren't getting in. It's like, all these people like wanted to also learn improv, but also just wanted a space to do improv. And I like got together with a bunch of friends, and like I was like, let's like create a club where like anybody can do it. And then we like ended up like teaching people, and it was just very like anti-elitist, like anybody can do this. And it was we ended up kind of ruffling some feathers. Like the other clubs were kind of like, they were like a little bit like pissed and like indignant, which like I kind of enjoyed. Like, because it was like, yeah, I just fucking went behind your back and did this. Like, fuck you guys. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like it was like
Yeah.
because they weren't offering something that everyone could be a part of, and now we were, you know. So I just had like a sense of mission with it. Even, and it was also like, it was very just sort of guided by my own like my own feeling. Like it was just like really like subjective, and like my own emotions, you know what I mean? Which is good, I think, for like a head type and a bermuda. Like it's like I'm always like, I feel like I'm always like self-invalidating a little bit, like with
Right.
like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have the right to be upset about this. And it's like again, it's like I was like acutely aware that like I was really only doing this because I didn't get in. And like that this
But then it
like
sounds like
the
something
no.
else took over. Yeah.
Well, yeah, something else did, because now it's like I want to like
Yeah.
advocate for all these other people, and like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like let's get like a show space. And like, what do you mean like we don't have equal access to like venues to perform? And it's like now I'm gonna like be like showing up for them and like whatever. So I think something else did take over, but it's also like I was aware that it was like a boundary being crossed, like a sort of like an anger, like just very like self-validating. Like it was just like, nah, I mean, I feel this way, and I'm gonna act based on the fact that I feel this way. Who cares if it's like you know like it can be grounded on some sort of like universally like valid thing, or some like actual high horse. It's like, nah, I just feel this way, and this is what I want. You know what I mean? Like I think there's
That's
something kind of,
huge.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
something like good about that. And that
Yeah.
also ties into the like the showing up thing, and like the like embodying confidence. It's like this is what's like lighting a fire in me ultimately.
I just want to highlight that thing you said, because that's a huge thing for six, and especially Bermuda, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, who cares if my actions can't be justified in some overarching moral frame, or some something I'm pinning myself to externally that is like, see, I'm acting in accordance with this thing out here. It's just like not even referencing anything external. It's just coming from inside.
Mhm.
Like, this is how I feel. This is how I want to act. This is what I want to do,
Totally.
and therefore I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's huge. That is the
It
experience
is.
of
Yeah.
of being a source of yourself as a Bermuda type.
Yeah.
And it can be a really hard thing for Bermuda types to find, and have access to, and then actually act on. So
Yeah, and like
I've totally
stay
had that
in tune
experience.
with too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I wonder if SOSP is also even like adding another layer. I mean, of
I
of,
think it
of
adds
self.
this.
Like SOSP can add like an
Yeah.
individualistic bent, or like a going against, but I think it also can add even more. It can amplify the whole like, this has to be justified through some like external like a self invalidating, because it's like not like in its own personal
Oh,
character
that's
arc
pretty
as
smart.
much. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because it's yeah, that's actually quite good. Yeah, because you have to contextualize your actions in the collective, or like what's good. There's a super ego quality to social self pres,
Yeah. Yeah.
but also
Exactly.
there's a way that you can kind of lose yourself in the social context, or I don't know. You could,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
and
saying?
like a
Yeah,
detachedness.
yeah,
I mean, this
yeah.
is this is also like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
Like
Yeah.
this is kind of interesting, like tying into like SOSP plus Bermuda specifically. And like I don't I'm curious if you relate, like
Yeah.
um is it like, I mean, obvious like SX blind triple attachment is sort of like a normie type in a sense, but I don't think SOSP Bermuda is necessarily normie, or they're like there are ways that it's like it's doing a thing that like most people aren't. Like I don't know if you relate, but like I was always really implicitly aware of the attachment game, like the code switching and the like kind of chameleon, that thing, you know what I mean? And it's like, and there's always sort of, I mean, I was sort of shocked like going into Enneagram and like learning how common attachment was. But I think that like what I was shocked by was like a reaction to like SOS, like social dom Bermuda specifically. Like growing up, I always assumed that I was doing it a lot more than other people, and like, and we can talk like attachment to disconnect or whatever. But I also think there's this truth to the fact that like, I mean, I don't know what percentage of the population is Bermuda. Like all three of your fixes
Your
or
like core
attach, you know,
fixes
maybe
are
like
yeah.
30-40%, maybe 50 at most. Like I'd probably guess 30-40%. And then it's like, then within that, it's like probably like 70% SPSO who like have more of like an innate, like just boundary to like where, and they're also a little bit maybe more willing to kind of like let it rip socially a little bit. Like, you know, like just
Hmm.
in terms of just like, um, I
Not
don't
taking
care
it
if
as
I
like
say something that's
seriously.
going to
Yeah, yeah,
offend, you know, or like
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So just like it's actually like the SO Dom triple attachment is like a little bit rarer. It's certainly not like the majority of the population or anything. So it's like, and
Hmm.
I've seen other like social Dom Bermudas do the like hardcore chameleon thing in real time. It's kind of, it's like interesting to see that, but it's like you're not getting that from most people like at all. Even though most people are doing some degree of like attachment and social. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It was just I guess it was interesting to like think about like there's almost a level of like vulnerability that comes with that. Like all that, like it's like you could just shoot an arrow right through me. You know, like all the attachment and this and the social openness. It's like I'm really affected by a
I
lot.
relate
Like
hard to what
yeah,
you're saying. Yeah, as a
yeah.
social dom Bermuda type myself. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's
I do
like,
relate.
yeah. And again, like attachment disconnect, like is like, that's real. Like the human condition is inherently alienating, but I think there is something like uniquely alienating to just feeling that much more affected than the vast majority of people in that way. You know what I mean? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it does make sense. Although yeah, yeah. I mean, Bermuda is
Like
inherently
Bermuda, yeah.
open and porous, but yeah,
I,
but I agree. There is like that extra open aperture, um,
yeah, the open
affectability
app,
by
that's a
other
great
people. Yeah,
mental like
yeah,
that fits perfectly with like the
yeah,
way
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels
Yeah.
kind of.
I have a question for you, and
Yeah.
this is a bit of a topic shift, but like comparing your experience as a core 6 to mine as a core 3, like attachment in the head center versus attachment in the heart center. And I
Mm.
was thinking about, are you willing to share about your story, like what after you broke up with your ex or your ex, however that happened, and you kind of went into investigation, truth seeking mode?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, here's the thing. Like, I mean, maybe I'm always in investigation, truth seeking mode, but I think in a way it was like I was kind of leaning away from a lot of that. Like it was like when I was at college, it was like I was just obsessing over like politics and like the truth, like capital T truths, and just being really like hardcore, like super ego, just like kind of leaning into all those parts of myself. And then like I sort of like the effect that had on to me, and I think like realizing things about like my sexual instinct and stuff, it was more of like a letting loose. Like
I
honestly,
see.
like I was kind of like I was at sort of a like a rock bottom because like, you know, I was like I got basically like dumped in like a pretty like brutal fashion. um and
Sucks.
I felt
Yeah.
like kind of a loser because I was like, you know, I hadn't really been taking good care of myself. I was like very depressed. I was just like self-neglecting a lot, and I was um like angry at this person, but also like kind of like angry at myself for kind of just going into that like sort of lowest common denominator version of myself. Um so like I don't know, it was I just like I sort of just I like became a lot more adventurous. Like I wasn't actually like mental center like processing everything as much. It felt like I was kind of just going on like insane adventures. I met some
I see.
like I just like I don't know, it was like my whole like I kind of had to like burn it all down and like kind of reinvent myself a little bit. Like I was hanging out with
Yeah.
different people. I was like after the first year I was like I moved back home. I moved across the country basically. Like I was like I can't be in this area anymore because it's like reminding me of this person. So I was like I have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like clean slate, just like take a flamethrower to everything. You know what I mean? Like it was I mean that year was insane because like I had like a pseudo friendship. Like we never like had a relationship or even like like really did anything like sexual or anything, but like I had like this like really transformative like kind of friendship thing with like this like batshit insane like Russian girl, and we were going like we were like going on all these like absurd like we were like exploring abandoned places, and we formed an academia secret society within our college, and we kind of went on a war path too. Like we were like I don't know, like we were like tearing shit up and like going into like abandoned like ruins and like sneaking into places. Like um it was I don't know, like it was just like and then like like I like formed a new band with like these people, and that was kind of a crazy adventure. Like we made an EP, and it was like actually some like kind of famous band like recorded our EP, which was like absurd. Like it was weird because like the singer like was like had a YouTube channel and like interviewed the person, so we got like that opportunity. And then we went on a road trip and we're like sleeping um in their basement of like their shed outside their house for days trying to like record this EP, like sleeping on the floor. Like it was just like it was a kind of a crazy like adventurous year. And I think that like that in of itself sort of like really creatively fueled me and like teed up the whole novel thing, because like I was getting increasingly jaded with a lot of the just like viewing everything through like a extreme super ego lens. It's like again with a lot of like the tearing stuff up and like sneaking into places thing. It was just kind of like I was kind of realizing that like there's more to life than being a really really good person sometimes. Like not that I was doing anything like horrible or even really that bad at all, but it was like like I was just kind of
Yeah.
like being kind of mischievous and like just doing things more because I was like really just interested in them and because it was like making me feel alive than like yeah again then some sort of like objective like this is contributing to like the utilitarian like goodness of
Yeah.
everything. And that was like there was a
Yeah.
like there like one of the characters in my book was really like embodying that like chaotic free spirits. Like that's also getting into like the sexual instinct, like sexual blind spot,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
this sort of idea that like like I like I have this like six like super ego thing, but it's like I also like kind of I have like an attraction to like yeah this like social blind or like yeah like just like you're gonna like anti super ego like just do things because it's like this just primordial like creative destructive like force, and just getting in touch with that. And that was like that like I think really like it's like cool because it's like my book has all these like super ego-y subjects. Obviously, it's like very social self-pres, but it's like to have like the primordial like creative energy that would like go into that, and also like I think to like start breaking down a lot of my like really rigid assumptions that were keeping me in that rut of like the college like this is like I have to become a good person and contribute to society. Like the breakdown of all of that was like this was like the seed, like that break like it's like kind of like the sexual instinct being like the like destruction and creation at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like I had to
Yeah.
like I had to go through like a crisis to like sort of like yeah like find myself
I was just going
again.
to make that point. Yeah, the crisis thing. I mean, I guess the way I'm hearing what you're saying is that yeah, getting dumped sucked, and it created the conditions, not necessarily in a direct way, but like what it led to was a certain experimentation outside the bounds of your normal personality
Yeah,
structure,
yeah, 100%.
which was bounded previously by a like you could only explore so far as the leash of your superego gave you room to go, and so you had to, you had to be like near to where you were tied down, like some kind of moral north pole or something like that, or a way to justify your actions within some kind of overarching idea of what a good person is.
Yeah.
And then you kind of you stretch that out a lot during this phase, and that seemed to be a really healthy exploration for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like, again, it's like it's the kind of thing that like you're gonna get like burned by sometimes.
Yeah,
It's like it's destructive and
totally.
creative at the same time. Like
Yeah, yeah,
there's like
yeah.
I mean, there was a point where I was like hospitalized because I got like blackout drunk.
Uh
Um,
huh.
and like that was like
Yeah.
that was kind of like the rock bottom of that, like the worst that
Okay.
happened. But
Yeah.
it's like I'm like crawling out of this like hospital bed, like pulling the like like the like IV drip thing out of my arm, and it's like
Okay.
I'm coming back, like like what I mean. It's like this is like
Yeah.
I'm gonna get over this, like this phase, like that in of itself, like I had this like $700 like hospital bill, like that like hurt my, that sucked, that definitely
Mm-hmm.
sucked. But it's also like I kind of feel like that $700 was worth it in a way, like, and that like misery and that pain, like not that I would do that again because I don't want to like literally like die or something, but like it's like
Because it gave you what?
I mean it just
Freedom, a sense of breaking out of the prison of your normal type structure.
well, it's just like I mean it's just a sense of like just a mental like imagery of like you're like crawling back like from the dead, or you're crawling back to life, or like
Yeah.
that was part of my book, the main character dies. He gets shot in the head by his best friend, and then he survives the headshot, and he gets nursed back to health by this Amazon rainforest community. And he's like he's pulling tubes out of himself and stumbling to his feet. It's like if I hadn't been pulling tubes out of myself and stumbling to my feet, I wouldn't have the inspo to write that scene. You know what I mean? It's like that's
That's cool.
creating something for me, even though even as it's like breaking me down. Like I think there's value to that. I don't know.
Yeah. And there's another contradiction right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to preface this by saying I want to. We can cut this out if you aren't comfortable talking about, but I wanted
Sure,
I wanted to bring up this idea of. So I want to read something you wrote about the splitting up with your ex, and then just kind of
Sure,
get
yeah.
into this territory for a second. So you said, when I figured out the story of how my ex left me for someone else, it was a total 6 truth search. Like I did a ton of internet stalking and confronted her about it, showed her the receipts. I think it was illustrative of the idea that knowing the full truth would somehow meet my needs or help things when it really didn't change the facts of the situation or anything at all. So it was a moment of realization that meeting my ego fixation wouldn't do anything. That whole thing, just that package of an insight is really interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the truth won't save you. You know what I mean? Like not necessarily, like you could have all the right answers, and still lose. You know what I mean? I mean that's all that in itself is terrifying, because there's this idea that I'm gonna like reach some sort of like cathartic I'm really into like Warhammer. There's a
Cool. Yeah.
there's a character, Lorgar, who's like a pretty obvious like social self-pres 6, and like his story starts with like the iconic line, "All I ever wanted was the truth," and he's following this character, the Emperor of Mankind, who's like proclaiming himself to be a god basically, and he finds the truth. Like he realizes that Emperor is not a god, and the real gods of the setting are the 4 evil chaos gods. So he becomes like totally evil and like this like chaos demon like lord, and like pledges himself, and he's the one who burns down the entire Imperium Man. He's totally evil, right? But he realizes that the truth of this setting is that like everything's evil, like the gods are evil, like it's like he's like, all I ever wanted was the truth, and that like he finds it, like he wins, he fulfills the 6 ego fixation. But you're like in doing that, like he becomes a villain and like damns his soul forever. Like it's like that's not really a happy end. Like you can win and still lose. And I guess for me, with like taking it to a more personal and not being like obnoxiously like contra, like who's a zoomed out like thing. Like I was, um it's like it's like, yeah, like you want to like, flip her off, like I won, like I got you. It's like, yeah, I like went into detective mode and like, found a bunch of and basically realized that, yeah, I was being like cheated on, or at the very least had been like she'd left me for someone and, started dating them the
Yeah.
day after when that wasn't what I'd been told. And like, it was like, yeah, like I can find that out and like throw the receipts in someone's face and be like, look, like I know, but like that doesn't change anything about my situation. Like we're not together. That like the relationship isn't going to be repaired. I just have to like I can know that's
Mm-hmm.
it's satisfying to know on some level, but like that's not going to save
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? And that like that leads into the like the sort of not nihilistic, but just like kind of the like the not being as tethered by my ego fixation, just like cutting loose a little more, because it's like fuck the truth. Like like I could know what the truth is, but is that like there's so much more to like experiencing life than that, and like like
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
and just
Okay.
feeling like alive and
That's
just feeling a sense of purpose.
so that whole experience is partly what allowed you to cut your leash and just start being a little
Yeah,
more
I
like
mean,
exploratory.
I
Yeah.
wonder. I think it definitely like
Yeah.
thematically tied in at the very least.
What's coming up for me about that whole story is well, other than I think that was you did a really good job articulating that whole thing, but there's also a piece of it that's like body reality is more more primordial than mental reality. You could say there's like a hierarchy of reality. Like you could figure
Yeah,
out everything. You could see in high resolution in the mental center, but if you're in pain in the body,
yeah,
that doesn't
that's
get resolved
it. Doesn't
through.
matter. Yeah, yeah, you're bleeding
It's like
out.
you can
Like,
yeah, you can diagnose your symptoms, but you're still sick. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Um,
and
and
the heart
yes,
too,
yeah,
though, right? Like,
yeah.
because that's my
That
like
oh,
that's
that's
my
right. That's right.
heart. Like that's the relation. That's like love. Like it's like it doesn't matter what's real, what I can know, what I can navigate. Like my heart.
Yeah.
Like I just feeling this like sense of like loss and pain, and like knowing the truth is not going to take that away or really do
Hmm.
anything about that. You know what I mean?
Is this related to why you said, like right before we got on this call, that six is like the hell side of attachment? What did you mean when you said that?
It's not. No, I don't think it's related. I think
Okay.
what I mean was like just kind of like the like the other people in hell as other people, like capacity of like you have a lot of the most like unlikable motherfuckers or sixes, like just like whatever, like the screeching reactive, like I like to think that I'm not that, but like I don't like I have some notes. It's like it's kind of like it's going into like, yeah, I mean, it's attachment, it's widespread, it's common, it's trying to be on the same page, but it's like it's reactive attachment. Like it's kind of like the gross, unlikable, like loser attachment type. Like
Okay.
right, versus like 9-3, the like charismatic winners of like the attachment.
Wait. Okay. Reactive attachment. I just that phrase. I mean, that's the punk scene. That's the whole
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah, totally.
That that yeah.
But it's like I don't know, like I mean, I grew up pretty well adjusted, you know what I like I had good grades, and I still feel like I'm like miserable and full of angst. Like I'm probably like I'm like a healthier six, and this is like still what it's like like even like the six being like the hated type, or it's like you have like a lot of the discourse in like the Enneagram. It's like in normie like Enneagram where they're like everyone's nobody wants to self type as a six, right? Like they're all like mistyping as like 4 5 8s or whatever, and it's like
Yeah.
you have this
Yeah.
like this perception that sixes are all like sheep who aren't free thinkers or like or whatever, and then even in like the like enlightened like we actually understand the Enneagram like spaces, it's like like people are still like frustrated by sixes and like it's you have like I don't know I like the idea that like a lot of the like unlikable traits of other types are actually just like sixes with those fixes. Like this isn't like a jab at EU. It's more like people in the community, like in the Facebook group, will always like say it's like, oh, they're not a one. No one would do that. It's a 6 with a 1 fix, who are the real like Karen hall monitors. Or it's like no 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 6 with an 8 fix is like the jumpy like drywall punching like just like toxic asshole like just like the absolute worst. And then and it's like, and even on the phobic side, it's like like you just know, like this ties into like the like underdog to villain arc pipeline. It's like that like once they attain a modicum of confidence or stat, like they're gonna become just as bad. Like you have all these tropes of these like phobic 6s who like like they like get some level of like status or something and then like become like just shitty people. Like you know what I'm talking about? Like that's so that's a thing. It's not just the like overtly reactive counterfeit. It's just like the worst type. Like there's like they're projecting, they're reactive, they're like hypocritical. Like it's not there's just something like profoundly like ugly about it. It's like even like the underdog thing, it's like a lot of these like you kind of just want to like kick them while they're down a little bit, like with these like you have these like really just like woe is me whiny 6s who are like I'm the underdog, and it's like but they're like still being like really reactive, and it's like that like if they ever got out of that, like again, like they would maybe just full circle revolution it up and just like be an like just I mean this on like an interpersonal level, like you just like there's certain people where you like definitely get those vibes from, you know what I mean? But anyways, all that's to say it's like it's kind of like there's this level of like the like all the sins of mankind, or like all the evil, like all this, it's just this like fomenting like black pit of like just undesirable traits. Like
Oh man.
But
I just yeah. But
well, I think what redeems it a little bit is like you have this like sometimes there's a need for that, like like the 3-9 like Barbie land, we're all just gonna sing fucking kumbaya, like the like live laugh love, like we're all friends here, and like nobody's gonna say anything controversial, and like it's like I mean like yeah, it's certainly more likable, universally a lot more pleasant to be around, just generally a lot better, like it's like a baseline. But sometimes you need these like sort of ugly divisions, like you need to just take a knife to everything, and it's like I think that's where 6 becomes like essential. It's like and essential to reforming the attachment too. It's like sometimes like you have to divide to keep it whole, because if it's whole and there are elements that are like festering everything, and there's so many ways that 6 can go wrong, but it's like it's just this, like that division, because 6 is like the act of splitting. It's like nobody wants to say, yeah, I'm on the side of division. Like it's like I'm on the side of unification. It doesn't have to be us versus them. It can be all one big like whole where we sing kumbaya, and it's like I mean sometimes that just frankly just isn't true. Like they're just like I mean if you look at like the Civil War, right, like like the country split in half, right? Like chattel slavery existed in the US, and then we slaughtered a bunch of Confederates, and chattel slavery didn't exist in the US anymore. Like that's an ugly process, and nobody wants to like say that, but it's like that's like an objective good, and that like reformed the whole. You know what I mean? Like that's, and it's like so clear how that like line of thinking can go like horrible and be the worst thing ever, and be kind of like all the sins of mankind. Like that's where you get like like genocide, and like like all these like forms of bigotry, and just like all these forms of evil. But it's like but it's like sometimes having like an us versus them mindset is just essential for like like something like justice, or like like reforming the whole. It's like like the Civil War was just such a good versus evil. It's like you have like people who are owning slaves and committing one of like the worst atrocities in human history. There's no amount of like happy unity that you can have. Like it just it just needs to be like this like ugly divisive thing. You know what I mean?
the inner split of, well, whether it's internally in a single person or at a country level is
Right.
required
Yeah.
for a certain kind of working out of those tensions and then eventually coming together. There's Ken Wilber
Yeah.
is one of my favorite philosophers, and he talks about like something has to be differentiated before it can be integrated.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. 100%.
that's what you're pointing to.
It's yeah, and it's like a lot of people pin that as like the worst thing ever. I had like a
it's the non-harmonious attachment, you could say, right?
yeah.
It's like,
And I mean, again, I have a 9 and 3 fix, and I think I'm pretty phobic, so I'm still very much in that harmonious attachment sphere. But I think in terms of like at least like my creative orientation and a lot of like low key like my life direction, it's like I am still like very much tapping into that like 6 like space and mindset. I mean, like in this, it's just it's something that like, you know, like people don't fully realize like because it's easy to bash because it is like kind of the worst thing ever in a lot of way, right? Just a lot of like unpleasant, unlikable behavior is just coming from that. Like, you know, like it's funny. I think it's funny. It's just interesting.
It strikes me too, just like at the level of the body, attachment is kind of like syncing up our agendas or life force or energies and kind of abiding in a harmonious somatic state together. In the heart center, it's what I'm leading up to is that there's kind of like in the mental center, there can be a lot more fragmentation than there is in the body center or the heart center, because you know, the body center is all about sensation, how I'm being held by my environment. There's a kind of like primordial, like the template is the primordial unity of the womb, right? In the heart center, it's about gaze, which is like it's either focused on one thing or on something else. In the mental center, there can be just an infinity of ideas. The mental center is like confetti of ideas and perspectives and distinctions. And to attach in the mental center is sort of like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a never ending project because you can't, or I don't know, it's like the puzzle, I don't know, the puzzle is too big. You can't put all the pieces together at once and for all. There's never like a moment where we can all be in like complete 100% agreement in the mental center. I guess, does that make sense? Kind of what I'm saying? And
yeah. It's inherently more fragmented than these like bodily heart, and like heart is part of the body too. Like kind of, it's just, it's like to have a working,
infinitely generating, right?
And, yeah.
It's like and
also it's like to have a working body, like everything needs to just like work together harmoniously with like no complicate like that. There's no need like working body, working heart for like versus like for your head. It's like you have to like navigate all these nuances.
Yes,
exactly. It needs to be all like fucked up and dispersed. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I was kind of working that idea out in real time, but that you got it. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking we probably come to a close here. There's a lot of really good stuff in this conversation.
Thanks.
I have to say, you know, you're like such a fountain of ideas and creativity, and just like your mind is so generative, and you're really fun to talk to. I mean, this has been a really interesting conversation, and your grasp of this stuff and your like ability to self-reflect and to contextualize your insights in the framework of the Enneagram and all that stuff. It's just really amazing. It's remarkable that you're just 25.
Thanks. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's been great. Yeah, it's been great talking to you. It's like, it's kind of, you know, it's like weird because it's like, you know, I've seen like your videos and like kind of interacting with sometimes in these groups, but it's like nice having a conversation with you. Like it's really, I think you're really great at like doing this, and like you're a great interviewer, really also really interesting to talk to. And I'm just really vibing right now. So yeah, thanks.
I appreciate it, man. And I've also been a fan of your memes.
Thank you.
To actually get to know the man behind them, the man behind the memes. Okay, well, thank you very much for doing this, and thanks for being so open.
Yeah, of course. I think I feel like good about this. I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
Cool. Sounds good. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to my conversation with Omar. If you liked this conversation, then please click the like button or hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Or if you're listening to this as a podcast, then you can leave up to a 5-star review and leave a comment if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. Those are free and very effective ways to support me and this show and the work that we do at the Enneagram School. If you'd like to learn more about what we do at the Enneagram School, then come check us out on our website, theenneagramschool.com. I invite you to get on our email list, which is where we will announce new episodes of this podcast, as well as when we start doing retreats and announce new courses and things like that. And you can also learn about the Enneagram right there on our website. There's a lot of free written content, as well as you can browse interviews just like this by type and instinctual stacking, and you can check out our intro course, which I also plugged in the beginning of this episode. If you think that you would be a good candidate to be interviewed on this show, I would love to hear from you. You can contact me right through the website at the contact form. Let me know what type you are, and preference strongly goes to people who have been officially typed by the typing team at Enneagrammer.com, who are, in my view, the world's most accurate Enneagram typing team. You can check out their typing services over there at their website, and you can also go to their members area and learn their typing skills by watching them type celebrities in real time. Finally, I want to mention that this show is part of a larger consortium of Enneagram collaborators, so I want to plug our sister podcast, Synsomnia, where the Dream Girls explore the relationship between dreams and the unconscious and the Enneagram. And I also want to plug our new podcast, House of Enneagram, where all of our collaborators unite under one roof to explore different niches of the Enneagram, as well as its applications to understand pop culture, art, current events, and things of that nature. So all of the links to all of this stuff will be in the show notes, so go check that out. And that's it for me. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.